Asita, can you hear me?
Good morning, sir. Yes, I can.
Only you in the classroom. So shall we start, like, because it's like almost 8, right? Today we are basically continuing our discussion on previous papers. So that is on MCQs actually this time that I am planning to discuss with you. Can you see the MCQs I shared?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start with last year. That is 2019 March, which is in the 15th and 16th page. So we start until others join. So we go maybe one by one. We can start and we can discuss what the like answers, right? Okay. Can you go to the last page? That's page number 15. Right. So the question basically says, what are the core activities of a development bank? We have 4 answers, A, B, C, and D. So what do you think is the most correct answer? Can take time and so we can discuss. That is 2019 March. What could be the like answer?
Number B.
A, B, C, or D?
B.
B.
Yes.
Okay. But the suggested answers goes as C. Let's see what's the like difference. So in a B, what happened is it says agri lending, project financing, commercial lending, working capital, right? But only thing is we need to bit of think about this development banking. Now, if you say it's a like commercial banking, probably your answer might be correct. When you go to the C, project financing is there in the both, and you see the working capital financing is again both in B and C, but we have merchant banking and financial advisory. So ideally, we also have to think about, in development banking, what they do is not only lending, they do advisory services also, like lending plus services. So that's why the financial advisory. And then merchant banking is something like bit of venture capital, like, mergers and acquisition like that, right? So that's also been accommodated or facilitated by the development bank. So the very appropriate answer would be C, because if you say B, you have missed some, like, advisory services and merchant banking sort of thing, right? So if you take core activities, then answer could be C as the most correct answer. Right. Then if you move to part 2, which is the most correct statement for a project appraisal in a development banking? What do you think? A, B, C, or D? So you can go through the answer and then we can discuss. Sanjay, very good morning. We have started the past paper discussion. So we are in the last page, like page number 15. So you also can join us. We have just completed the question number 1, like A. Now we are in the question number 2. That is, which is the most correct statement for a project appraisal in development banking? So we are there. So what could be the most appropriate answer? There are a couple of correct answers when going by the 4 answers. So as per Sanjeev, it's B. What do you think, Asita? What is Asita's answer? Asita, what do you suggest? A or B or C or D?
Answer is B, sir.
Answer is B, right? So basically, if you see, there are other answers also similar, right? Calculate the repay. Yeah, we do calculate the repayment capacity in project lending. If you take C, application of appraisal techniques, yeah, that's also happening. And then examination of viability, so that's also part of that. But the answer B say the credit worthiness in the project for lending. So it basically covers all 3 when you say credit worthiness. Like if you take a individual customer, and if you analyze the customer's credit worthiness using 5Cs or 6Cs or Campari model, so we do the similar sort of exercise to see whether how the project is credit worthy, how much the credit worthiness of the project. So that's why we need to select B. If there is a no answer like B, then probably all other 3 are correct. Probably maybe the D last one could be then the next best answer. But here, so you can select B as the answer. Then what do you think about the third question? That is the profitability index of 0.75 for a project means A, B, C, or D? A, B, C, or D? Jayani, Shanuka, we started the discussion of MCQs. We are in the March 19 paper and page number 14. So you can refer page number 15, and we are discussing question number 3 of part A. A profitability index of 0.75 for a project means. What could be the possible answer? What could be the answer like? Sanjay, what do you think? Profitability index. You can get a clue from what are the 4 methods that we have done in investment appraisal techniques. Answer C, as per Sanjeev. What about Jaini? What's your answer? Asita, what is your answer? Jaini, what do you think? Yeah, Asita was telling C. Any differing answer? Right. So everybody is coming at the answer C. So answer is correct. Then 4. If you do have any questions, you can press me. What is a pre-feasibility study in project development? A, B, C, or D? Study done by bank to examine the feasibility, done by the promoter to examine the feasibility, done by the government to examine the feasibility, promoter to examine the feasibility of a project in advance. So pre-feasibility. So done by the promoter, bank, or government to check the feasibility. Again, the last one is promoter feasibility checking, but in advance. What is the most correct answer? A, B, C, or D? Yeah, Sanjeev say in advance. Jayani, for the answer for first question is C. Third one. Any other answers for question number 4? Can we go by answer D? Yes, answer is D for question number 4, because when you say pre-feasibility, it is something done before the feasibility study. So that's why all the other 3 actually, say that they do conduct a feasibility on project, but the last one say whatever the feasibility done in advance. So basically, answer is D for question number 4, right? Then we move to the question number 5. If a company invests 400 million and the project, then the producer positive cash flow is 80 million per annum, then the payback period is A, B, C, or D. It's not a difficult question, very easy question. What could be the answer? B for Asita. What about others? Jayani, Sanjeev, Asita, all are telling B. What about others? Nilushika, Shenuka, what are your answers? What do you think? Shenu, yeah, you're also telling B. What about Nilushika? Answer is B. Basically, the payback is the time taken to recover the investment. So investment is like 400 million. Then 80 million per annum is the positive cash flow, right? And then what the time taken is 400 million divided by 80. So answer is B, like 5 years, right? Then we move to question number 6. In a project, profit after tax is 300 million. Depreciation is 50 million. Interest paid during the period is 50 million. Tax paid 15 million. And capital repayment is 100. So what is the debt service cover ratio? It's a good question. See whether you can compute that. What is the DSCR? First, we need to know what is the DSCR formula. Then you see what is the capital, what is the interest. Then you need to say what is the profit that you are going to use here. So what could be the answer? What could be the answer? What could be the answer? A, B, C, or D? Jain is coming with the answer C. What about others? Asita, Niloshika, Sanjeev, Shenuka? What's the like answer? What could be the answer? We are talking about this one. Sanjay, what is like, have you found out the capital and interest? What is the capital and interest? How much is the capital? Capital is 100 million. The interest is 50 million. So we know what's the denominator is 150. So what could be the profit figure that we are going to use here? Sanjeev, 115 million is wrong, right? Because the capital payment is 100, interest payment is 50. So then interest and capital is the denominator. So that is 150 is basically you're going to pay out. So DSCR is basically profit divided by, sorry, some issue. Profit divided by capital and interest. So capital is 100, interest is 50. So that is basically 150. Need to find what's the like profit. If you remember, what is the profit we are using here? Profit after tax or profit before interest and tax? What do you think? What is the profit figure that we need to use? After tax, Jani was telling. But before interest or before depreciation? Because tax is a mandatory. Yes, you have to deduct that. That I am agreeable. Before. So before interest. Right. So what is the profit then? 300. You have to add back interest. 350. Is that all? Is anything to be added here? What about depreciation? Right. So then what is the profit before depreciation and interest after deducting tax? 300, 350 or 400? It's 400. So 400 divided by how much? 100 or 150? 150. So then, Jani, what would be the answer now? 400 divided by 150. Is it 2.33 or is it 2.66? 2.66. So answer is 2.66. Has everybody got that clear? So here we need to understand debt service cover ratio is profit before interest and depreciation, but after paying tax, because it's a mandatory, especially in Sri Lankan context. But if you refer any textbooks, so what could be, it's something profit before interest, tax, depreciation, and everything. But here we are using profit before interest and depreciation, but we pay the tax. So we know that divided by interest and capital. So interest and capital is 150. Profit before interest and depreciation here 400 million. So that divided by 150. So basically it's 2.66. Right. So any doubt? Any unclear area? Hope it's clear, right? So then we move on. Then question number 7. Name the most important development aspects discussed under development banking in a country. A, B, C, or D? What's the most appropriate answer? Most important development aspects discussed under development banking in the country. What's the most feasible answer? What could be the answer? A, B, or C, or D? D, project, infrastructure, import, export, housing. That is Pajayani, as Pajayani. What about others? Yeah, Asita is also coming with the D. Sanjeev also coming with the D. But, as per, I think, examiner suggesting answer B, mainly because of agri development. Because in development banking, we need to, think about agri as well. Agri housing, when you say industrial development, it allows with the manufacturing and projects and all that. So it is like the common word for project, maybe the industrial. Import, export, yes, that's important. That's both in the B and D. Housing development is also B and D. What is missing is agri in D, where agri is present in the B. So we have to go by the examiner's answer saying industrial development would basically cover not only project, but manufacturing and other related aspects also. So answer is industrial development, agri development, import export development, and housing development. Yes, Sanjeev, you are correct. When you say project development, so we can think under the industrial development, because when you say industrial development, part of that project could be accommodated. So that's why they go as the most appropriate answer. But when you say project development, one can argue what about the industry related development, because that's like sectorial aspects. So that's why the examiner is going for the answer B. But again, kind of some similarities. So we can say, when you say project, that it could be covered everything like agri, industries, and everything. And then infrastructure development is something about water, electricity, roads, and all that. But what we can think about is, when you say development banking, so the bankers may not exactly looked into the infrastructure development because it is maybe the part of a government initiative, given the investment amount and the complexities. So based on that, so we can go for the answer B, because when you say industrial development, it includes project and all that, and in addition, it included agri instead of infrastructure development. So the answer basically B as per the examiner. So we also have to go by that. Then part B, what are the key advantages of NPV in project lending? What are the key advantages of NPV in a project lending? I think we can, mention a few of them, like it talks about time value of money. It talks about cash flow over total project life. It talks about discounting factor or cost of capital, opportunity cost in investments. So like that, so you can say some advantages, like it talks about time value. It takes the total cash flows in a total lifespan of a project, and it talks about cost of capital in a project. So we can take all three are as advantages. Then next question, 2 multilateral development banks involved in funding development projects or aspects in Sri Lanka. What are those? There are so many. We can talk about World Bank, Asian Development Bank, European Investment Bank, German Investment Bank like JICA, so Japanese Investment Bank like JICA. Then so those are the answers. Like, so basically we need to write 2: World Bank, ADB, JICA. So European Investment Bank, EIB are some answers for that. Then question number 10, what is the meaning of financial viability in project lending? What is the meaning of financial viability in project lending? What is the meaning of financial viability in project lending? What could be your answer? It basically tells if the project earnings are adequate to cover fixed cost, operating and maintenance cost, loan repayment, and provides adequate return on investment. Those are the 4 things that we need to consider. So we need to generate some cash flows, and it should be sufficient to cover fixed cost, operating and maintenance cost, loan repayment, and adequate return on investment. Those are the 4 areas that we need to look into. Then we say it's financially viable. Actually, we try to go into the financials, and we will evaluate the financials, and we will see what is like the different ratios, and whether the ACR and interest cover and all that. But finally, it can sum up to say financial viability in project lending is so you need to generate sufficient amounts to cover fixed cost, operating and maintenance cost, loan repayment, and it gives adequate ROI. So basically those are the the answer we can give with respect to financial viability. So what are the the any gray areas of this paper? Any issues come across? Then we can move to the next paper if you don't have any issues. Right. Then we move to question number, the paper that is 2018 September. It's only part here. Yeah. So can we start the question number 1? What is the minimum core capital requirement for a licensed microfinancing company? A, B, C, or D? What is the answer? What are your thoughts? Any guesses? What could be the answer? B. Yes, answer is B. Because if you take microfinancing, so we basically requiring 100 million minimum core capital requirement. So answer is B. Then question number 2, costing. Fixed cost divided by contribution per unit is used for calculating what? A, B, C, or D? Yes, Jayani. C. Yeah, Sanjeev. Shenuka. Yeah. What about others? I think others are also follow with us. If you do have any issues, please let me know. Then question number 3. Project cost 70,000. Expected to have useful life of 3 years, at which point the scrap value is 10,000. Project is expected to yield net profit of 2,000 per annum over its useful life. Using the average book value of the asset, what's the accounting rate of return? Remember, this is coming under the ARR, accounting rate of return, which is one of the tools that we are using to assess the investment in a project, investment return in a project. So what could be the answer? A, B, C, or D? What could be the answer? ARR. We are going to compute that. What would be the answer? We are going to compute that. What is the ARR equation? If you remember correct, ARR is what? Average profit divided by average investment, right? So then try to find what is average profit, what is average investment. Yeah, Shashini is coming with the answer 5%. What about others? What is the average profit? Is it given here? What is average profit? $2,000, right? Because it's almost telling for the 3 years it generate 2,000 per annum. So basically, if you take total profits is 2,000 into 3 and divide by 3, all is coming to 2,000. Or per year profit is 2,000. So average profit is 2,000. So we have one answer. Then what is the average investment? So that is initial investment plus scrap value divided by 2. That's what we learned, right? So initial investment is 70, scrap value is 10, then total investment is 80 divided by 2. So the average investment is now 40,000. Average profit is now 2,000. So 2,000 divided by 40,000 would be the answer. So answer is 5%. So have everybody with me? You got it clear how we computed that? Sanjeev? Okay, Asita? Shenuka? Okay, thanks. So we'll move to the next one. Key advantage of critical path analysis is that it can, since we have not come across this, answer is D, so I'll explain. So critical path analysis is basically, it helps to reduce the risk and cost of a complex project. That's answer is D. Basically, critical path activities is something where you try to analyze the project activities, project durations, in order to manage the project, right? So basically it tries to see whether what are the possible risk, what are the cost to be happen, and how we are going to manage that. So by undertaking this critical path, so we may able to reduce some risk, we may able to reduce some cost in a complex or bigger project. So answer could be D, right? Then question number 5. If a firm has rupees 100 in inventories, stocks, current ratio is equal to 1.2, quick ratio is 1.1. What is the firm's net working capital? What is the firm's net working capital? That is current assets minus current liability figure, when it has raw material of 100 and current ratio of 1.2 and quick ratio of 1.1. So what could be the answer? What is your answer? Bit of mathematics involved, but see whether you can try it. It's a current ratio 1.2, quick ratio 1.1, and we have been given raw material, so inventories as 100. So Jayani is coming with 200. So what about others? How did you get it, Jayani? $200 is current assets. But here asking net working capital, current assets minus current liability. So answer should be the difference between current assets minus current liability. Sanjeev is coming with answer A. What about others? Ola coming with answer A. I think it may not be the answer. Let's see what could be the answer. Can you see the board? Some issue happening. Okay, you can see the board, right? Okay. Now, what they say is 1.2 is current assets divided by current liability. Am I correct? Because current ratio is this one. And they say 1.1 is current assets minus stocks divided by current liability, because it's a quick ratio. They also mention that. So what basically tells you is, out here they say stocks is 100, right? Then you can write this equation again, CA divided by CL minus 100 divided by CA. That's also correct. CA divided by CL minus stock divided by current is C. So here 1.1. So what is this? CA divided by CL is 1.2. So 1.1 is equal to now 1.2 minus 100 divided by CL. So when you are solving this equation, you will get 1.2, 1.1, that is equal to 100 divided by CL. So this 0.1 into CL is 100 divided by both. Current liabilities are 1000. As of this. If current liabilities are 1000, then current assets here is 1.2 into 1000. Current assets. So current assets is 1200. So the difference between current assets to current liability is basically 200. Have you got it? Any issue on this? Yeah, Jan, I'll explain it. It's basically, give me a minute. Sorry. So basically, we have now two equations. That is, current assets divided by current liability is equal to 1.2. There's a one equation given. It says current ratio is 1.2. The next one is quick ratio is 1.1. That is 1.1 is equal to what is a quick ratio? Current assets minus stock divided by current liability. So we have equation 1, we have equation 2. In equation 2, they also tells us stocks is equal to 100. It means we have 1.1 here. We have current assets with minus 100 divided by CL in the other side. So we can further simplify. This is CA divided by CL as one portion and minus 100 divided by CL. So going by this, say 1.1 is equal to 1.2 minus 100 divided by CL. If we solve this equation, then we can get current liabilities as 1000. Why? 1.2 minus 1.1 is equal to, you can bring this part here, 100 divided by CL. So then basically 0.1 into CL is 100. So current liability is 1000 by solving this equation. When you go to here, when you say current liability is 1000, is 1.2, 1.2 into CL, you can get 1200. So current assets is 1200, current liability is 1000. So then they're asking is, what is the net working capital? Net working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. Now we know current assets is 1200, current liabilities is 1000. So then the difference is 200. Any questions? Right. What about others? Did you get it? Sanjeev, Asita, Shenuka, is it clear? Okay. Right. Let's move on. Then part B, question number 6. Right. What do we take this as 1.2 as? No, maybe, because yes, now I see that's what's the quandary. Right. Actually, it has been corrected to 1.2 and 1.1. So that's what the suggested answer say, because it's not 1 to 2, it's 1.2 and 1.1. Right. Right. Now I can see why that you have not, come to kind of proper, because now I am actually referring the suggested answers here, but this is actually the original paper. So original paper, it say 1 to 2 and 1 to 1. Right. But actually it should be 1.2 and 1.1. But if you take 1 to 2 and 1 to 1, probably I think you don't have an answer here. Did you? When you say current ratio is like 1 to 2 is, let's say, 2 times. Quick ratio is basically 1 times, 1 to 1. Right? Have you got an answer here? I wonder that you didn't get an answer. Current assets divided by current liability is equal to 2. Then 2CL is current assets. But again, when you go to the downsides, they are 100, and I don't see that you have a correct answer for that. Have you got it? If you are conducting the question in this way, have you got it answer? Yeah, probably you are not getting it, right? Because when you have 100 here, I think some disparity would come. But let's see what could be the answer in that case, right? if you see in that way, if it is let's say 1 to 2, say current assets to current liability is 2, current assets minus stocks, current liability should be 1 to 1 and 1 to 2, right? Because CA to CL is 1 to 2 in the sense, so because it's a 2 times, it's 1 time. Here it's 100. Then current assets minus 100 is CL. So CA, yes, you have, then you have 100. Yeah, you are correct. But if you are right, if you are doing that, you need not to compute, use this equation, right? If it is so, because it's CL, CA divided by, no, some issue, right? Sorry. And I've done some mistake here. CA to CL, and this is equal to 1. So because I take this part 1. CA to CL, again it's 2 minus 100. CL is equal to 1. Other side, CL is 100. You are also correct. CL is 100. Then use here CA, here based on that CA is 2CL, that is 200. And CA is 200. Yes, CA minus CL, yeah, we have answer. Tarushi, you are correct. So if you go by that, there will be an answer for A, that is correct as per Tarushi. But later, you know, it has been corrected at the exam time also. Then it has to be read as, you know, current ratio is 1.2, quick ratio is 1.1. But if nothing changed, then you also correct to assuming saying current ratio is 2 times, quick ratio is 1 time as originally in the paper. Thank you for pointing me out, because I am referring a different sort of paper here, suggested answers. Right. Okay. Let's move. What are the largest export sectors in terms of foreign exchange earning in Sri Lanka? What are those? Basically, tea, or skilled, unskilled migrant workers, garments. Those are the main, you know, largest export sectors. Tea, foreign remittances like skilled and unskilled workers, and garments, right? Okay. 7. What is meant by loan syndication? So the loan syndication is basically where we will have group of lenders together and financing one borrower, right? So why that you need to do this is basically when one lender is unable to finance the one borrower's requirement due to complexities, due to magnitude, due to other reasons, then couple of banks got together and arrange a financing package in order to support the single borrower. So that's what we call syndication, right? Say if the project is like, say, airport, a harbor, a highway, a bridge, so then one single lender cannot accommodate that quantum of financing due to various reasons. Hence, that what they are going to do is they got together, maybe a couple of banks, and they also appoint an arranger among them to deal, discuss, and negotiate kind of thing, then undertake the financing. So that's what we call the loan syndication. Then question 8. what are the external factors would affect the working capital needs in a firm? There are so many. I think we have discussed on the other day also. Technological changes, infrastructure changes, government policy, tax incentives, or maybe competition, changes in the business cycle, changes in the customer taste and differences, are so many things, right? So those are the external factors. When those change, it would affect the working capital needs in a firm. So basically, external factors would affect the working capital. So maybe the competition, maybe the customer taste differences, maybe the technological changes, maybe the government policy procedure changes, or changes in the business cycle, right? Infrastructure changes, import-export policy, taxation policy. There are so many. So you can write maybe one or two external factors which could affect the company's working capital. Because if there are higher competition, obviously you need to change your working capital and your debtor policy, collection policy, creditor policy, stock management, and all that, right? So that's the question number 7. Question number 9 is sustainable financing. What is sustainable financing? It basically tells any form of financial service integrating any service integrating, there are a couple, environmental, social, and governance criteria. ESG, environmental, social, and governance criteria into the business or into the investment decision for the lasting benefit of both investors and society. So in this text, there are a couple of things that we need to know. One thing is sustainable financing is what? It's a financial service or financial offering. That's one. Number 2, it basically integrate 3 important aspects. Financial service, which integrates environmental, social, and governance. Financial service integrates environmental, social, and governance criteria into what? Into business decision or into investment decision. Basically, into the project. When you are undertaking a project, so we need to think about these 3, integrate those 3 into this project. Why? For the benefit of investors and the society. Not only the investors and the society. So ultimately benefit is investor and society. What we are going to do is to integrate these 3 when offering financial services. Where that you are going to integrate, it's about the project, investment decision, or the business decision. So you need to talk about these 4 areas when you talk about sustainable financing. It's like, continuous, long-lasting benefit towards the society, towards the investors. When you take in investment or business decision, need to integrate ESG, environmental, social, and governance. That's it. The last one, you can give a try. Project has an NPV 1265, discount rate is 12. Project has an NPV of 6950 negative, discount rate is 22. Then what is the internal rate of return? Please take an effort and give me the answer. Journey is coming 120645. What about others? Take a minute and try. Sorry. Right. You can see the board and you can hear me right now, right? Sorry about that. Sanjeev, am I right? Okay. So basically, so you take here x1 plus NPV1 into x2 minus x1 divided by NPV1 minus NPV2, that is 12650 minus 6950. So answer basically 12% plus 12650 into 10% divided by 9600. So answer most probably something 18.55. See whether that you have got, it's clear. Right. So basically, how we're going to conduct this is, actually this is not required, but if you remember this equation, that's more than enough. So we need to know what is x1, x2, NPV1, NPV2. So x2 minus x1 divided by NPV1 minus NPV2 into NPV1 plus x1 will give the IRR. How it has been arrived is in this type of a graph, at some interest, we'll say some positive NPV, at another interest, we'll see a negative NPV. So intersecting point is IRR. The NPV is 0, interest rate is IRR. So using these two triangle methods, we arrive this equation. Now you can use this equation for the computation. So wherever you get two interest rates like what we did in last 2 weeks, then think about what are the relevant NPVs and then apply this into the equation. Any questions? Any questions? Right, okay. Then we'll move to the next paper, March 18, September. Right. So take a couple of minutes among you and start doing, and then we'll discuss once you correct it or once you do it. So take some minutes and start the questions, answer. Then we will, once you do maybe 5-6 questions, and then we will discuss as a team. Okay. A, B, C, O, D, higher than 5, higher than 10, higher than 8, none of the above. Question number 2, which is correct in group lending? Dealing with group instead of individuals reduces transaction cost. So group arrangement teach the bank a great deal about who is safe and who is risky. Group lending reduces inequality between borrowers due to same interest rate charged from all. Group loans are always cheaper than individual loans to borrowers. 3, method calculates time to recover the initial investment of project using projected cash flows is named as NPV, payback, single cash flow, lean cash flow. Change in current asset and current liability referred as change in working capital, change in current asset, change in current liabilities, change in depreciation. Cost of goods is 8,000, GP is 5,000. What would be the revenue? 6, correct method of adjusting inflation. Estimate the cash flows real term, estimate the cash flows money term, estimate the cash flows real term, use money discount rate, and none of the above. So those are the 6 questions, and we can start attempting. So let me know once you have completed, so we can together discuss. Can we discuss the first 6? Have you attempted? Asita, Jayani, Abhishek, have you done? Okay, so let's start. What would be the answer for question number 1? Parate, recovery of non-performing third-party property. A, B, C, or D? Asita telling A. Sanjeev is coming with A. Abhishek, Jayani, Arushika, Shanuka, what are your answers? Now 2 has confirmed answer A. What about others? What are your answers? Yes, A. Have you read the question properly? Parate is, yes, available to recover non-performing loans as a tool coming under the bank. 5 million is also correct. Yes, Sanjeev, you are correct now. Answer is D. None of the above. Because if it is a third party, you are not supposed to proceed the parate. When you see a question like this, and if the answer is A, then rethink. Because then you may not be getting the proper answer. Generally, if you see so many answers as A, revisit again why it is so. Right? Again, I am telling kind of exam tip. When you are attempting the past papers, or when you are attempting the question paper, don't take the MCQ question as your first answering questions. Don't take this, because you are not in a good mood to answer MCQs, because it all over from the syllabus, and you find these type of tricky questions as well. Go to maybe some essay question. It could be about 5 Cs, or maybe SME, microfinancing, easy to touch. Right? Also, don't take your first question as the NPV, because you can't plan your time sometimes. Right? So probably you can start trying maybe more easy qualitative questions, then go to the NPV question, or then go to the MCQ. Maybe your third question could be the MCQ, or maybe fourth question could be the NPV, like that. So because you need to attempt 5, maybe first 1 and 2 could be some of the sort of things. So then you are in a better position, then better mind, less stress also, right? So try to write the question paper in that way, because what happened is at the end of the time you might complaining because I didn't have enough time and all that, because you may not have a focus approach. Even in the MCQs, there may be so many things go here and there, because if you have not planned. So in this question, answer is D, basically because it's a third party. You need to read it and say third party. Then obviously you don't have a proper answer. But if you also can figure out, may not be 5 million, everybody no, right? But if they say a 5 million or lower than 5 million, higher than 5 million, then you make a sense. But here obviously 5, then 10 and 8, obviously, you know, answer should be 5. But something should be there. Then go back and see it's a third party. If it's a third party, yeah, then you need to think about again, right? So that is about third party. No answer here. Say none of the above, right? Then question number 2. What is your answer? A, B, C, or D? What is your answer? A. Sanjeev, what's your answer? Shenukat, Sashini? What could be the answer? D. Yeah, answer is D, because group lending activities, so we can say group loans always cheaper than individual loans to borrowers. So you can take that as the correct answer. Then question number 3, what could be the answer? B, right. Payback, obvious, right? It's not difficult, right? So you should be able to, now figure it out what it's all about, right? Okay. Then next one. 4, question number 4. A, what about others? A. So that is basically changes in working capital. So that's given, right? Question number 5. Cost of goods sold, gross profit. They ask about revenue. Very happy to see those type of questions. What do you think? Right? Straightforward. Answer is A. Right. Okay. Question number 6. What could be your answer? So they ask about something to calculate inflation, calculate NPV to adjust inflation. Question number 6. What could be the answer? A, Yes. Estimate the cash flows in real term, real discount. So that's it. Okay. Then 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then again, those are not difficult, but we'll discuss. Two target groups of venture capital. What do you think? What are the target groups of venture capital? Two target group of venture capital. I think we have discussed in several times, right? What are the like two requirements? Do they have adequate money, adequate capital, or do they have initial capital? Or are they coming to venture capital to get that accomplished? What do you think? Yeah, startup businesses, that is basically they don't have seed capital, initial money, right? So that's one. Technology innovative startups, yes. The other one is basically they have technical, product, or technology skills. Basically, now in venture capital, they try to fund, finance, support entrepreneurs and enterprises whom does have technical and product knowledge to start up new businesses, but they don't have seed capital. They don't have initial capital. So the requirement is they don't have initial or seed capital. The other one is they will have technical or product skills, right? So when they ask about target group, yes, they should have a kind of, the business idea, they are innovative, technical know-how, and everything should be there. That's one. Number two is they shouldn't have the seed or initial capital. So if it is so, then target venture capital will come and support. Two sources of benefit from FDI, foreign direct investment. Why we do? Because we get the inflow, we get the technology, it could create the employment, more employment, like employment creation, increase productivity, increase efficiency. So those are something we can get through the FDIs. Then Exim Bank, Export Import Bank. What are the benefits? So basically it's asked two services. What they do? It's like a trade counter in your bank, trade department in your bank, because separate export import, they provide export import banking. What are the services? Trade financial solutions, advisory services, marketing advisory services on export imports. Like they also provide, say, marketing support. They also provide advisory support. They also provide trade financing solutions, like what type of products, what type of sort of structuring, that kind of thing. A final one, asset-based financing, is basically try to provide financing against assets. So assets could be debtors, materials, machinery, maybe cash, real estate, or whatever. So they basically provide financial support against assets. Assets are like these. The financial support, it could be maybe working capital, it could be term lending as well. Because if you take finance companies, they try to even take some assets, mortgage, against that they provide working capital to run their businesses. But asset-based financing, collateral-based financing. Right. Hope you have got it. I think if you go by that question paper, you presume it's not very difficult, right? So you can score maybe at least 7 out of 10 minimum. If you able to score 7 out of 20 means 14 marks. So just think about the pass mark is 45. So just another 31 marks from out of 4 questions. So then you can see maybe 7 out of 15 would make you through, maybe 1 or 2 another mark. So that's why I'm telling very easy subject is. But only thing is you need a bit of practice. Question is important. Okay. Any questions on this paper? Any gray areas? Anything to be clarified before moving to the next paper? Sanjeev, Jaini, Shanuka, Narushika, any questions? Is it clear? Okay, I hope everything is fine with others also. So we move to then September 17 paper. There again, take maybe 5-10 minutes among you and see whether you can start answering, and then we will discuss the question. September 17. Take very quickly go through and see whether you can attempt. We can then discuss quickly. Financing SIG project. Make them profitable. Sanjeev say D. Obviously not the B and D. Bridging and buyout are different, because bridging is something you give additional financing to make something. Buyout is like you purchase it out or let somebody to do that. But here, so you make them to profitable. Yeah, Jain, you are correct. You turn it around. Turn it around. So turn around is the answer A. Which one of the following relates to assessment of societal cost of the project when providing finance? A, B, C, or D? Assessment of societal cost. It's economic, it's a technical, it's environmental, it's a none of the above. Yeah, answer is A as per Jaini. What about others? Yes, Sanjeev, answer A. So question number 3, capital used in initial stage in a development project. Seed, startup, second round, none of the above. Tricky, but there is a correct answer. Question number 3, answer A, O, B. Yeah, answer is A, seed capital, right? The current VAT rate applicable to SME. Actually, this question we have to answer keeping the context those days. So answer C, 15%. Right now it has been changed 11, but 15 was the answer when 2017. Right. 17. Question number 5. ABC, considering 2 possible projects, can proceed with one of them due to funding issue. Investment appraisal techniques ARB for project X and project Y. Which of the following is the most logical interpretation of the results? Yeah, Jaini, 3, answer A, seed capital is the most appropriate answer. Actually, somebody can say startup capital also correct, but the seed capital is more correct technical word. The initial stage, yes, we provide seed capital. Now we are in the question 5. So we have used 3 methods: payback, ARR, NPV, X and Y. So which project you are going to select? A, B, C, or D here? What is the most correct answer here? Jayan is telling C. X is the project, but the selection is based on the decision C. What about others? Are you in agreement with the answer C? Sanjeev, Sashini? Oh, you are not in agreement. Sanjeev, yeah. To say X, yes, I am agreeing. But why we select X is answer based on C. X selected highest NP because when we have several criteria, but we basically proceed with NPV, the results of the NPV, outcome of the NPV. So that's what the correct answer. Then question number 6. 2 reasons for project rescheduling. Like I will mention what the examiner has given. Rehabilitate a sick project. If you undertake a reschedulement, restructure, because we are trying to do that, because to rehabilitate sick project, 1. 2, meet temporary setbacks, because if we see that a customer is expecting, anticipating some temporary setbacks, to meet that beforehand, you take some actions. So again, you do rescheduling. So if you see that, example, in coming year, business environment is not supportive, then the cash flows could come down. You need to do some rescheduling. Okay. 3, to face some anticipated or sudden change in the project scope. If you see a change in the project scope, maybe you have started, let's say, 10 floor apartment complex. Now you see that, due to various reasons, you can't move to like maybe 10 floors, maybe 5 now. So then you need to, revisit the project and take some actions to support the customer, manage the cash flows and all that. Late in implementation. So let's say now we have planned to, start the project by say January. Now with the weather or COVID or whatever, unforeseen or even man-made. So I'd see that, you can't implement the project by January. Then you need to give additional time, additional period to, get the project back and then, continue with trying. So late commercial production, that again the other way, because implementation delay or late commercial productions. So when you are, when you have all those things, so you have some issues and then, difficult to carry out the project, difficult to achieve the cash flows, then you undertake reschedulements. Right. Then we go question number 7. List out 2 types of businesses that licensed microfinance company can engage in under provisions of Microfinancing Act 6/2016. I think we have discussed this in the class also. Now it has come for a essay type of question and MCQs also. I mean, so many things, except maintaining current accounts, they can do almost everything like a bank or finance company. So I will, tell 1 or 2. So they can provide financial accommodation with or without collateral. What it means? So basically, they can provide loans. They can provide financial products to to customers clean or secured basis, just like other banks and other financial companies. They can accept savings, deposit, manage deposits, and similar other savings product, right? Except current account, they can accept and manage the savings account and savings deposit. They can invest money appropriately or prudently. So if they have money, so they can put into treasury bill, treasury bonds. So like other banks, they can invest whatever their customer deposits in prudently. Also, they can do like owning, leasing, that type of financial instrument as well. Or they can provide technical assistance and training, like SME plus services, like the other banks do. They also can provide technical and training assistance to the customers. So you can write maybe 2 out of the 5 things I mentioned. So just remember, if it is in the say MCQ next time, so the activities performed, not the activity performed by microfinance. So then it could be accepting customer demand deposits or managing current accounts. Except that they can do. So then they might, give a question saying activity not allowed by microfinancing company. So it should come to your mind that is about managing, accepting demand deposits, or managing customers' current accounts, which is not approved or agreed by the Microfinancing Act. Then external factors, remember, so this time it has been asked, even last time, not the last time, the subsequent paper also, they have question this. So many things, like market condition, interest rate changes, new technology, new products, political environmental risk, competition, inflation, credit availability, then customer taste and differences, right? So many external factors, right? So just you have to write only 2. Like last time also we discussed. So then they might ask about, next time it could be internal factors. What are the internal factors? I think we have discussed that also. This is about external. What is internal? Any suggestions? We have discussed it somewhere, maybe when we discussing the working capital question. Or maybe, yeah, working capital topic. Any thoughts there? What are the internal factors? Any thoughts? Internal factors. Any thoughts? Internal factors, Manoj. What about the creditor policy, debtor policy, production cycle, stock policy? Will they affect the internally for the working capital? Yes or no? Say if you just move to from normal stock management to just in time, GIT, will it change the working capital requirement? Yes or no? What do you think? Internally, when you are taking that type of decision, yes, it is. Then you take, say, some debtor control, debtor management. So maybe due to prevailing situation, you might now offer extended time period for debtors to pay their debts because they are unable to pay because they have collection issues. Will they? Yes, it is affected because extended debtor means extended money into that. So you have some issue there, right? So like that, you have to think in that way, because sometimes examiner put it in that way, saying what is the like impact externally. Okay, last question, securitization. There are so many answers could be given, but I will explain one so that you will be ready. Securitization could be the process of pooling various types of debt. The process of pooling various types of debt. Example, mortgages, car loans, credit card debts, and packaging that debt as bond. And packaging that debt as bonds. The process of pooling various types of debt, example, mortgages, car loans, or credit card debts, and packaging that debt as bonds, pass-through securities, or collateralized mortgage obligations, which are sold to investors. That is one of the definitions. Now I'll explain. Say you have portfolio, credit card, housing loan, hire purchase, leasing, and all that. What you could do is, there may be intermediary companies, then they will say, so we will get that different portfolios into one and make that as a collateral, and there are some other investors who are willing to invest on this portfolio. So ultimately, you have some credit card portfolio, you sell it to investor through intermediary, you get some money, and then you can use that to offer further credit card, further grow the credit card portfolio. For you, it's a source of financing. So otherwise, you need to wait all credit cards being repaid over a period of time. But in this process, with this intermediary support, taken this as a collateral to an investor gives the money, and you use it for credit card growth, use it for portfolio growth, housing loan, hire purchase, or whatever, or leasing. In terms of investor, he also wanted to invest some money, say, into credit card, into housing loan, into leasing or hire purchase portfolio. But if you want to do that, so without this arrangement, he has to start lending to credit card individuals. It could be cumbersome. It's a different process, platform. So instead, what you could do is, so you use this platform instrument and invest on that. So that's a kind of, the generally we say about securitization. So as I was telling earlier, when we discussing about the products, in Sri Lanka, you see not the intermediaries, because in the secondary markets and all that, it's not happening a lot in Sri Lanka. But here what happened is, say you are a commercial bank, so you have some asset portfolio. So let's say you are a Pan Asia Bank, for example. You have some asset portfolio into, say, leasing or into hire purchase. And what you can do is you can find another bank. You go to a bank and say, I have asset portfolio. Can I mortgage it to you? Pledge it to you and get some money. So then I get the money with the discount. So I will, do whatever my normal business activities. And then the commercial bank is benefiting when the customers repaying those lease or card installments. So they get it over a period of time. I am getting upfront. Yes, there is a risk because if they are not paying, then as per the arrangement, maybe it's part of me, part of commercial bank, or in some other arrangements, it's totally with the commercial bank because it's, we say, without recourse. With recourse, commercial bank can come to me as a Pan Asia bank and say, your portfolio is deteriorating, you need to help out me. But if you are, say, without recourse, then commercial bank can't come and say, it's his baby, it's their baby, they need to recover. Transaction is over. So that's what in Sri Lankan context, the securitization happening. In world context, as per definition, I must say, so it's like pooling. Somebody intermediary. There are like companies. They take different portfolios and so make a kind of a bigger pool and sell it to individual investors. So there the money goes to this end user. So you are happy with the money. They are happy with the investment. Intermediary getting the fee income and they managing this portfolio. So that's all about the securitization. Any questions? Any gray areas? Any difficulty? Okay. So basically, I was told that we need to manage or maybe finish our classes by next week or week after that. So next week I am planning to discuss some more ad hoc questions from the syllabus. We'll see, because maybe SME, microfinancing and those things, because we have done some more important areas through MCQs and the investment and working capital sort of thing. And then we will do the other part, so that at least then you are a bit of cover up in terms of common questions. Also heard that the revision classes will be held in commencing from the October, so that may be the rush to stop general classes. Let's see how it will go. But don't worry, because since we have done whatever the necessary, so now you can start working on past papers and the selected questions, and then we can be ready by November for exams. Jani, you have asked question, all types of debts are considered together as well? No, Jani. This like maybe credit cards, loans, because they are the homogeneity you are maintaining. Because say, if I am an investor, so I might interested in investing, say, credit card portfolio. So you need to have some credit card portfolio to invest like that. In Sri Lanka, basically, we are not kind of, say, incorporating credit card sold separately, mortgage loan separately, like that. But in developed markets, so you have, let's say, credit card separately as well. Maybe different banks would come together and one credit card portfolio under the intermediary. There were so many mechanisms to that, right? Or maybe if you are a single bank and then basically maybe NTB credit portfolio being sold, or if not credit card portfolio, several banks. So then if I am investor, so I can invest, then the risk could be further mitigated, because credit card done by several banks. So then the risk levels could be also differ, right? Because if it's big, if it's complex, it's a good instrument, because if there are so many investors. But here actually we don't have that sort of mechanism. We even don't have intermediary. We just sell one product at a time. Credit card, we are going to sell. Loans, housing loans, hire purchase, like that. But in developed markets, yes, you can pool it. But again, credit card separately. You are not pooling credit card, leasing and all that into one, because then the portfolio has different dynamics, right? Because then how the lease is operating, lease is behaving is different to credit card behavior. So you can't pool it as together. You pool it separately, but a total bank credit card portfolio would be a kind of another proposition. Instead of one bank portfolio being sold, maybe combination of credit card portfolio by several banks, being managed by this individual or the intermediary? Good question. Any other questions, friends? Okay, if not, then we will wind up for today, and let's see that how best that we can do some more questions during next week. So if we are supposed to wind up the classes, sorry if I missed anything. Yes, refinancing loan, that again is something not a big one. I will read the answer. Refinance loan schemes are given by donor or central bank. Refinance loans given by donor agencies like ADB, World Bank and all, or central bank, to give credit facilities, to selected customers, purposes, industries, because it could be done by donor banks, it could be done by central bank, to give credit facilities towards selected customers, selected purposes, selected sectors. To support the economic development of the country. So to support economic development of the country, these three segments are being given loan at maybe by the donor agencies or central bank. And remember, most important thing is these loans are priced at very concessionary interest rates. Concessionary interest rates is a very important part, because market rates, these loans being given maybe at 6%, 5% that rate. That's what we need to know. Any other questions? Okay, so then let's meet next week, and we'll see whether what are the the questions that we can attempt during the next week, so that we are comfortable in terms of past paper question discussions as well. So thank you very much for being with me, and wish you a great week ahead.